Hi, this is Michael Adams for Stock-Telegraph International. Today I again have Craig Goodwin from Naturally Splendid here in this webinar. As you might recall, I did the first webinar with Craig on February 26th. That was actually the day when, after a long 3-month hold, the stock came back to trading. And since then, on the first day, I recommended buying into the stock at around 32-cent level. That's all Canadian, of course. And the stock had a bombastic run. Like 2 days ago, I think, or 3 days ago, it hit 105, so that was like 200 whatever percent for my subscribers. Right now, the last 2 days, the stock is kind of settling down a little bit, and I really appreciate the opportunity that Craig is giving me the chance to get in more detail in a discussion with him. And joining me is Peter Epstein from New York. He's running Epstein Research. You can find his website at www.epsteinresearch.com. And he also wrote already, I think, 2 articles on Naturally Splendid, which I thought were very, very good. And so this is why I invited Peter. So, Peter, thanks for joining us and helping me to fight Craig.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. As I said in my introduction, we already discussed kind of the history of Naturally Splendid on the day when you came back to trading on February 26th. The stock price at that point in time was around the 32-ish level, right? And this is where my subscribers bought in, hopefully, at least if they listened to me. And they had a pretty good run, So the stock went up to 105. I think that was the new high just recently, like 2 or 3 days ago. And since then, we are kind of settling down. We traded at around 70 cents level yesterday, I think. So that would be, of course, one of my natural questions. What do you think about this movement? And also, some of my subscribers came back to me and said, like, hey, we already gained like 200 whatever percent on the stock. Should we sell? And I told them no. But I think it's better if you tell them why not to sell.
Well, Michael, there's much activity on the business side with Naturally Splendid. We continue to make progress in multiple areas. Our retail lines are gaining traction. Our relationship with POS Biosciences at the University of Saskatchewan continues to strengthen, and opportunities are growing there. And as well, for the first time in decades, there are going to be commercial industrial hemp crops grown in the state of Colorado, and we are very interested and proactive in positioning ourselves to be able to participate in this first commercial industrial hemp crop in decades in the state of Colorado. So there are multiple reasons. Every reason that people got involved with Naturally Splendid at the beginning it still exists today, only it's progressed further to a positive conclusion than we were even 60 days ago.
Yeah, because you issued within this last 6 weeks, you had like, I didn't even count them, but I printed them out. That's all the news releases you had. And the biggest ones, probably you have been able to gather a really great team, like really top-notch guys from the industry.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that speaks volumes to the potential of Naturally Splendid. To have that roster of expertise and the successful business people that have joined Naturally Splendid speaks volumes about the opportunity within Naturally Splendid and by default for our shareholders. What our board or our advisory board has been tasked with specifically is to uncover Omega opportunities globally. And by positioning and partnering with POS Biosciences, we now have the best of both worlds. Our advisory board that includes some of the most successful business people in Canada, people who have grown companies to do billions of dollars a year in revenue, have now confidence that we're able to produce the volumes of plant-based omega products that would be required when you want to deal on a global scale. So we now have the technology that's been scaled up to allow for commercial viability. We have the sales team, if you will, that's based on our advisory board. It includes dairy experts, water experts, functional beverages, pet food supply chains, feedstock. So there are multiple opportunities, and each one of our advisors that we brought on board have access to some amazing companies that will open doors for us that would simply be would take months, if not years, to get through. But once they get through those doors, Michael, it's important that the clients, our prospects, understand the accreditation and the certifications that our processing facility has. And by I mean our processing facility, I'm speaking to POS, because they will do audits on the company, and not audit of a financial nature, but audit the company for accreditations. They need to be of the highest accreditation if you're going to deal with global companies. So we now have all those important pieces in place: the commercial viability, the manufacturing facility, a sales team, if you will, of global stature, and now we are in that process of identifying prospects, getting into the business cycle, and eventually securing POs, which is our objective, of course.
Okay. By the way, as you can see in this lovely picture, the company trades on the TSX Venture and the symbol is NSP, and on the Frankfurt market the symbol is 50N, or 50N. Peter, is there any question you would like to ask Craig right now?
Sure. I'm wondering about the purchase order that you announced. It seems as though the stock price started to go down about the same day as that purchase order. And can you kind of talk to listeners about why that might be?
You know what? I can address that, actually, and quite frankly, it surprised me because I thought that the purchase order was a very positive step. It is the first commercial sale of our Hemp Omega product. We're using it in a blend for Laguna Blends, but I believe that the bulletin boards, were anticipating a much larger PO. I have to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time on the bull boards. My investor relation team does, and I guess what was being anticipated, because of the nature of our advisory board of Ted McKechnie and the others, they were expecting a PO from a global company like a Kraft or a Heinz or a General Foods, and I think that the expectations were unreasonable for our first PO.
But let me just ask you a question, or correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, and maybe this is what the market got wrong. That's not the full sales. That's this one sale with this one company for this, let's say, niche product. But you can have like hundreds or thousands of these kind of agreements.
That's exactly it. This is the first of many opportunities, right. And when we are giving rights to Laguna Blends, and I'm glad you're giving me the opportunity to explain this, is that they will have an exclusive right to this custom formulation that we're putting together for them. So Laguna approached us. They wanted a highly digestible protein. They like the hemp space, so we use that as our base. And then that was followed up with, they wanted the Omega Nutrition to be part of the formulation. So the Hemp Omega is being used in the blend of the formulation that will be custom to Laguna Blends. So that does not limit our opportunity with countless other companies. I do want to circle back and mention one thing. It's the beautiful picture with the two trading symbols. Yesterday we were approved for trading on the OTCQB marketplace, and our symbol there is NSP.V. So we are now trading on 3 exchanges.
Okay, yeah, we forgot this. We have some more of these pictures showing the trading symbol. So,
oh, look, I never even noticed there was someone holding that. I just saw a little.
Yeah, of course. You only focus on your product, right?
That's all I saw.
Of course. But let's talk about and maybe one last comment. So I think it's way better to start with a smaller sales order with all the respect with a smaller company, kind of getting in practice instead of. And forgive my French, instead of fucking it up with Nestle or Coca-Cola.
Right. You know what? I could not agree more. We were very cognizant of who we did the first deal with. And it's exactly that, Michael. We did not want to try to tackle a Coca-Cola or a global entity as our first order. We wanted to, as we've done all along, we are conservative in nature with our business strategies. We believe you need to crawl before you walk, walk before you jog, and jog before you run. So we're at the jogging stage right now. That's representing POs in the market. We're getting traction. We are now approaching larger companies because we understand the process. So I think it's a very strong and strategic, methodical practice that we're putting in place, that we're not swinging for a grand slam on our first order. Of course, those negotiations are ongoing, but people must understand when you're dealing with global entities, the testing process does take a while. They want to be able to duplicate the test results that we have and then begin to understand how it affects their formulations. So the smaller companies react quickly. The medium-sized companies will act a little bit longer. But if you're dealing with global entities, the decision-making process within those organizations does take time. We like to look for maybe not the largest in the category. We like to look for maybe number 2 or number 3 or even the 4th largest player who aspire to become number 1. Because the guys who are in that first top position right now are generally not changing their business strategy. But the slots 2, 3, and 4, they know they have to add new ideas, new products, new strategies if they're going to take on the companies that are above them. And they're generally hungrier to do business, especially with a new product.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And maybe, and that's probably just my 2 cents, that this kind of pullback in the stock was just kind of a coincidence that this happened together with the latest news releases. There have been a lot of warrants that has been exercised. So what's the situation right now in the warrants? And you know, some people, at least, if they exercise the warrant, they do that because they sell the shares. So maybe that is a little bit of an explanation for the pullback in the stock price, which I think is a great buying opportunity. Yeah, but that's up to the investor at the end. But do you also, so please give us an update on the warrant exercise, and do you also
Absolutely.
see a lot of some selling coming out of this exercise, or is there also some private placement paper coming free trading?
Well, and I think that's a very insightful comment, is that there's been a lot of volume over the last week or so. We've traded between 1 million and over 2 million shares a day now for the last several days. Over $1 million has come into the treasury for Naturally Splendid through the exercise of warrants, and it's all been done voluntarily. And let's face it, the people who have time left on their warrants, who are exercising today, are exercising the warrants because they're likely on the sell side. And for the stock to have the volume that it did and still go from 30 cents to $1.05 speaks volumes about the investor base that we have. And that it came back a little bit. We all know stocks don't go up continuously. They need to go up. People take profits, and then it finds a new level, and then we go up again. We saw, I don't know, 3 to 5 million shares. I haven't looked at the charts recently, but we've probably traded well over 3 million shares and probably closer to 5 million above 90 cents. Certainly above 80. So I believe the correction that we're seeing is a strong buying opportunity. And because fundamentally nothing has changed on the negative side with the company, we continue to pursue POs in the Omega space. And I started to touch on the opportunities in Denver. And because it's an agricultural crop, I want people to understand the time frame that we're dealing with. That the crops will be going in the next 4 weeks. And that Naturally Splendid is proactive through David Race, president of Naturally Splendid USA, who has a reputation in Colorado dating back 8 years. David, for the people who don't know, actually blueprinted and built out one of Colorado's first legal indoor marijuana grows. It was a 30,000 square foot facility, and David took his operational expertise and built out, as I said, one of the first fully compliant legal grows in the state of Colorado that they actually used, that the state used as a showpiece to show other people what the medical marijuana landscape should look like in Colorado. So David's reputation on the regulatory side as well as the business side is of the highest pedigree, and he has been in Colorado often over the last 4 weeks to look for opportunities for Naturally Splendid to get positioned in the industrial hemp crop that's going to be planted in the next 4 weeks. That crop will come out of the fields, let's say, in August, maybe early September. So it is a very short window until we will have a brand new crop in a new country developing new opportunities. We all know that the United States is 10 times the size population-wise of Canada. So by extrapolation, we should have 10 times the opportunity there. It's an exciting time to be in the industrial hemp space. And we are positioning ourselves through the team that we've built to take advantage of that immediately.
And actually, Dave was supposed to be on that call today. He couldn't make it because he had to catch a really important meeting, which is totally understandable. But we don't let him go. So Peter and I, we hooked up, and we're going to track him down for an interview hopefully next week, right?
Absolutely. Pete, actually, David will be up in Vancouver. We'll be having a number of sessions reviewing the opportunities that he's been working on in Colorado. I like to be very careful with this, is that that we are aggressive in the state of Colorado. We are looking at a number of opportunities. We have not settled on a definitive opportunity yet that would require a news release, but I think it's fair to state, and as we have in several news releases, that we are very much interested in establishing ourselves in the United States, Colorado being the first state that of interest to us. It's where we have strength. Boreal was formed in Colorado, so we have a strong business network there, and that is likely to be our first area of focus in the industrial hemp space, will be the state of Colorado.
Okay, so as you remember, if you want to move through the presentation, which you hopefully can see, you can do that by using these arrows, right? If you want to show us something in the presentation, just go there. You need to click on pointer, and then you can move it around. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Peter.
Yes, I have another question about Colorado, and I know David's in charge there, but my understanding was David was going to try to get some farmers to commit to give industrial hemp to David in Colorado. Do you know where we stand on that?
You know what? Absolutely. And here's where I think we separate ourselves from many of the other companies that are interested in pursuing Colorado, is we have a degree of expertise. The co-founder of Naturally Splendid, Brian Carson, and myself have been in the industrial hemp space now for 8 years. The president of the Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance, Russell Crawford, is on our board of directors. So where we differentiate ourselves is we have the expertise to drop into Colorado to help the farmers maximize their yields. So right now we are meeting with many different farmers and people who are interested in growing hemp, and we want to drop in the expertise to show them the seed selection, cultivation, and harvesting of this crop that the farmers that are going to be planting this year simply have not grown this crop before. So David is offering our expertise on the growing side. Of course, the extraction and formulation side, we have licenses and patents surrounding that. And then, of course, our board of directors and our advisory board is the marketing side. So we believe that we are a full solution company, Peter, that we can bring right from the seed and the strategy of planting through production and right up to the marketing of it. And that is what we're offering people in Colorado, is that if you work with us, not only can we show you how to grow the crop, how to harvest, how to produce value-added product, but then we can take that end product and commercialize it for them. So we are offering a full range of services to the farmers in Colorado, which I think differentiates ourselves, and it's why we want to get in front of the curve, and rather than wait for the crops to come off and battle for for input material. We want to be at the forefront of it and work with strong farmers so we can secure input for the fourth quarter of 2015. That's what our target is.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You just touched a couple of other companies, and you know that Chris Perry, who's also analyst or newsletter writer from, I think, Canada. He's a big backer for Naturally Splendid too. But yesterday, I think, or actually a couple of days ago, he also dropped an article or wrote an article about True Leaf. Are you familiar with that company, Craig? And if so, I think they are focusing strictly. They have some medical marijuana application in, but they kind of, as far as I understand it, they refocused on the pet marijuana or cannabinoid thing, and you also are in this business with your I can't pronounce it. Positive? How do you pronounce that?
Positive.
Positive. Okay, the Positive FX. So, is there what's the difference between just strictly? Of course, your variety of possible products is way bigger in my understanding, but just focus on this niche for pets. What's the difference between these two companies or products?
You know what? It's the canine, and you have to understand, I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so I'll do my best to explain this. What my understanding is that the effect of cannabinoids in canines and in humans are very similar. So the same nutraceutical or health benefits that people are experiencing from a wide variety of cannabinoids, including cannabidiol, CBD, can be transferred to pet food. The pet food, and pet products, not just limited to food. So the pet market in I think globally is almost $48 billion. People spend an enormous amount of money on their pets and their well-being. They are looking for value-added products to increase the life quality of their pets, and they're not afraid to spend money in that area. So rather than narrow our focus to one group, we will remain open to multiple opportunities, and that will be for human consumption, whether it be by ingesting or topicals. It will be for a pet food line, which can be, once again, can be through food or topicals, and it will be through a feed stock line. And when we talk feed lines, we're talking putting it into a food for an animal that is destined for human consumption. So that would be beef or poultry or swine. And the opportunity to use cannabinoids and or omegas in this wide range of product, we don't believe to limit ourselves to one category is in the best interest of Naturally Splendid shareholders. We will continue to pursue a wide range of opportunity, which is why we have a very diverse and deep advisory team. Each one of those people bring expertise in those topics that are those opportunities that I just described.
No, I totally agree, and that was my understanding too. But still, and you kind of confirmed that, I think that this pet food industry is a huge one. And as you know, I own 2 dogs myself, and I just want to quote something from this Chris Perry interview with the CEO of True Leaves by the name of Darcy Bomford, and he says, ask anybody with an older dog, how much would you spend to make your dog's last few months or years more comfortable? And the answer will be almost anything. And I couldn't agree more, right? So that's kind of my 2 babies, right? And I would spend everything. Yeah, and that's, I guess, with a lot of dog owners, yeah, that would be they would be in the same situation. So it's a market where you don't compete for price, yeah, which is also, I think, very essential.
You know what? We couldn't agree more. Ironically enough, we see people providing products for their pets with almost unlimited budgets, far easier than nutritional value, sometimes even for their own children. But we have seen the phenomena of pets change from a simple pet to be more family members. And we all know what we would do for our family members. So it's not surprising when people go into a veterinarian service or a pet food store and they want the best of products for their pets. And they're willing to pay for it. So we will, I think we have an opportunity to license our technologies to companies such as TrueLeaf. And that's just one of the opportunities that we have. We've been approached by pet food companies on using our products, whether it be on the cannabinoid or omega side. Both those products are very good for dogs in particular. So we are pursuing those opportunities. And funny enough, after Mr. Perry wrote that article, one of the companies on our list to approach, of course, would be TrueLeaf.
Okay, good. Peter, anything you have to add there?
Yes, I'm just maybe circling back a little bit on your retail line in Canada.
Yes.
Were there any aspirations to expand that into the U.S.?
Absolutely. In fact, we have produced our U.S. labels. There are different requirements as far as identifying ingredients on labels in the United States. That has been completed. We now have the ability to ship product to the United States. We have a small boutique size distribution company called Sonray. They have some presence on the west coast of the United States, and we will begin the process of identifying retail outlets that would be accepting of our Natera line, as well as our Positive Effects line, which is it's a topical 3-product line that is made for dogs for their pads on their feet and as well as their snouts. Up in Canada, it gets very cold, and the paws or nose tend to crack, and this actually protects them. So to answer your question, Peter, is that yes, we're expanding to the United States or have plans to. We are identifying distributors, and once again, our corporate philosophy is that we crawl before we walk and walk before we run. So we will be identifying retail chains that maybe aren't 1,000 stores to start off. We like to find that sweet spot is 8 to 15 to 25 stores. And let's get our systems in working order so we understand shipping across the border. There's no regulations to stop industrial hemp from moving to the United States, but there is a process to ship anything across international borders, and we want to make sure that our systems are in place, our processes are in place, so when we do penetrate the market, we are sure we can deliver on our commitments.
Okay, I would definitely approach Starbucks. Yeah, and then people can order whatever, double hemp cafe latte or something like that. That would be good. Yeah, because they're drinking coffee anyway every day, so and it's healthy. So why not have kind of an infusion? Anyway.
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say, funny enough, is that if you take a look at these large stores, the service industry, you will see that they have a healthier product mix in there now. And I don't care if it's McDonald's offering fruit and real fruit smoothies as part of kids' meals, or Starbucks. If you take note, you will see a change in the product mix to offer a much healthier variety. So is there an opportunity to work with a company like that? Absolutely. And if it isn't the biggest coffee company in the world, then we'll look for number 2 or 3.
Yep. Okay. There's one other question before I let Peter take over again. Because you had these plenty of news releases, like I think a dozen or so, what was the most exciting news release for you in the last couple of months? So I had my favorite, but maybe you answer first. Which one was the most exciting or the most important one for you?
Well, we've been working with Boreal Technologies for a while, and we had started off with a single licensing agreement for a single product in Canada, and that was the Hemp Omega. So to watch that development grow into the to the announcing of acquiring the licenses and IP from Boreal, that was an exciting time for us when we came back trading. But maybe the pivotal point for Naturally Splendid was the identifying and putting David Race into the seat as president of Naturally Splendid USA. His operational capability are of a world-class nature. He was a senior officer for many global companies, and for him to be steering the ship now for Naturally Splendid USA, especially in a state that he's familiar with, in an industry that he has had success in, is an incredibly exciting time for Naturally Splendid. So I'd like to say right in the last little bit, appointing David Race as president of Naturally Splendid USA may be one of the most exciting announcements I've ever had the privilege of making.
Okay, I picked another one, but I guess we're in a free country. So
Which one did you like?
My favorite is March 9th, where you announced Naturally Splendid USA provides, and I can't pronounce it, cannabinoid biosynthesis overview.
Oh.
And I can tell you why, because let me give you a quote from this press release, and it's actually a quote from Miss Katie Schmidt. Actually, that's a German name. And she said, FSL has filed a patent application covering the organic and enzymatic synthesis of cannabinoids. Sorry for my pronunciation. I'm not an English native speaker. This technology will allow for industrial-scale production of cannabinoids catalyzed from cannabidiolic acid. I can't pronounce it again. Sorry. But everybody can read this, yeah. Without the requirement to grow large quantities of plants. Cannabinoids produced in the bioreactor are pharmaceutical-grade purity, more than 99%, and the cost is potentially only 1/10 to 1/3 of the cost of existing methods. So I thought that's kind of a. To me, that was the most exciting part.
It's an incredibly exciting time, and I do want to talk on in general with what Katie Schmidt brings to the opportunity. In fact, Katie Schmidt, Dennis Cologne, and David Race. We see many times companies that buy technologies or license technologies, and far too often, it's used as a press release. And the idea to commercialize or monetize the licenses really are secondary to what they can use for public relations in an IR environment. In our case, we approached Boreal, and we asked them if once we embedded the technology into our company, it was vitally important to take key personnel from Boreal, and that's Dennis Cologne, Katie Schmidt, and David Race, the people who were involved on the cannabinoid and omega formulation and extraction technologies. And if we were truly going to monetize that, we need to have them work directly for Naturally Splendid. So we brought them right out of Boreal. Dennis and Katie work out of our Vancouver offices, transferring their expertise and their understanding of these technologies and identifying commercial opportunities for us. I think that I want to make that clear to all your listeners and subscribers, Michael, that this is absolutely vitally, critically important, that we did not just acquire technologies with a hope that somehow we were going to figure out how to monetize it. We took, with the full cooperation of Boreal, we took their key people, embedded them in Naturally Splendid, because it is our intent and our commitment to commercialize and monetize the technologies that we purchased. It's not just a news release. This is going to be a PO generating opportunity for Naturally Splendid, and we needed to have the expertise in-house if we truly were going to do that. And that's why we brought those people in, because like you, I can barely pronounce all those cannabinoid words myself. But Katie, I'm as bad. And Katie, Dennis, and David can and are completely fluent and comfortable in that environment, far more than the existing team around Naturally Splendid. What they're able to identify for us, then we put, once again, I like to refer to the advisory board because it's their reach into the boardrooms of the world, understanding, but they can't do that unless they understand the technology completely, and that's why Dennis, Katie, and David are part of the Naturally Splendid team now.
Okay, great. And if you want to hear more about some of those guys, there was also an interesting interview which has been published yesterday by Chris Perry, and he was talking to all four of you, like David, Doug, Ted, and you, Craig. And
Yes.
it's really funny to read through this interview because sometimes you guys are talking in the total opposite direction, right? So he was asking, what's the most important? And the ones, I think, David said, oh, you have to focus. And then you said, no, we have to go this way and this. So
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge right now for you, especially because you are still wearing the cap, right?
Yep.
So you're the captain of the NSP ship. So you need to make sure that those guys constantly communicate. And I know that you're pretty good in team building. Yeah, but they just started to work together. Yeah, now they have to face the same direction and then run. Or as you said, walk, jog, run, and then hopefully
Yeah.
fly. Right.
You know what? Absolutely. But and I do want to address that for both Peter and Michael. Is that that's the key to success. If we had 5 guys that all had the exact same vision at the beginning of this, moving forward, we would limit ourselves to opportunity. That we have differing opinions, but they bring credibility to their opinions because of their successful track record in business. They uncover things or opportunities, business opportunities, that we wouldn't otherwise identify if we were all completely in line. So I encourage our board of directors and our advisory board to think outside the box, to have differing opinions, to challenge the company to think of different things. I believe that's a very healthy business environment to have, and we encourage and embrace that at Naturally Splendid.
Okay.
And as far as Mr. Perry's article, I really like his writing style. He does it with tongue firmly in cheek. And I would like to tell you, too, that each one of us did answer those questions with Chris separately. So we weren't sitting in a room. So, yeah, he approached us all separately. He told us what we were doing. He asked for us to be candid with our comments. So we did. And that is truly how Naturally Splendid thinks. As I identified, we like to encourage our employees, whether at the board of directors, all the way down through our marketing and into our warehouse, to come up with new ideas and to challenge the status quo in order to grow as quickly as possible. So we encourage and embrace differing opinions in this company.
Okay, great. Peter?
Yes, this has been a very far-ranging interview, and I think it's going quite well. So I'd like to bring us back to, what do you think are the near-term catalysts then for 2015?
Peter, I believe that Naturally Splendid has done the heavy lifting now. We have a retail line, Natera, that's gaining traction in the market in Canada, and we're looking to expand in the United States. That will be a very important move for Naturally Splendid. The commercializing and securing additional POs in the Omega space is critically important. We continue to do research and development in this area. More feed trials are ongoing. We are looking at testing our Omegas in a number of pet food lines, so that's a pivotal move. I think to strengthen our relationship, continue to strengthen our relationship with POS Biosciences, located in Saskatchewan in Canada, is critically important. And I think it would be a strong indicator of the growth of the company as people watch that relationship develop. I can compare that relationship to the Boreal one, where we started at a very comfortable level and grew it to the stage that we actually embedded Boreal technology and personnel into Naturally Splendid. I would like to see that same relationship develop at POS, where we become almost one, where we work very closely together. Right now, we have a research and development program with them. We'll spend upwards of $250,000, but I would like to see that grow even more. And finally, the next catalyst on the growth of the company will be the developing opportunity in industrial hemp in Denver, Colorado. There is multiple opportunities. It's an evolving marketplace right now, so it's an exciting time. You need a wide range of expertise to capitalize on that opportunity in Colorado right now, and we believe we've built that team. So to the three catalysts to move forward: expand our retail operations, continue to monetize Omega and grow a relationship with POS, and establish cash-flowing business opportunities in Colorado. That's the three key areas of focus for Naturally Splendid.
Great. Thanks for that answer. And I can assure you, I've spoken with David when he was in Colorado for about probably 2 calls, over 2 hours combined. And I can really tell you that he knows what he's doing, and he made me feel quite comfortable. Now, here's a question I typically ask at the end of an interview is, are there any misconceptions about Naturally Splendid that you would like to address?
I would like to address because it did catch us a little off guard, the disappointment in the PO with Laguna Blends. We identified them as a strategic key first client for us because, as Michael identified earlier, they were of a size that we could work together with without being overwhelmed. I want people to understand that we are not limited to that one company and have not somehow built a ceiling to our opportunity. In fact, what we did is we built a foundation to prove that there are people out there who will buy our hemp Omega products and in fact rely on our expertise to create custom formulations for them. So rather than be disappointed in the size of the first PO or who we've partnered with, please understand that that's just the first step in many that will take us to the boardrooms of international sized companies. But you cannot simply jump into the deep end of the pool without at least testing the waters first. And what we did with Laguna Blends is to begin test the waters. We believe they're going to be a very successful company. We believe firmly that they're going to hit that $6 million in PO that they have placed with us, and we are supporting them with our marketing efforts, our custom formulations, and our superior products to assist them in every way possible to help them be successful. So that's what I'd like to explain, Peter, is that this was not a limiting opportunity, but one that is creating multiple opportunities for us because we are proving the commercial viability of our technologies.
Thank you. That's all for me for now.
Okay, yeah, that's also everything from my end. Yeah, and I think that was a good last few words from you, Craig. So just to sum that up, thank you, Peter, yeah, for giving me your expertise and helping me to battle Craig. Yeah, he's, as you know, yeah, he's a sales guy, so he's really good at pitching, right? So that's every time I hear him talking about the company, I start liking it even more, right? So it's fantastic. So I can only urge you to check out Peter's website. Yeah, it's www.epsteinresearch.com. You can also subscribe, I think, to your blog articles. Is that right, Peter?
Yes, on the on the front page of my website. Absolutely.
Right, and I urge you to do that. Yeah. Again, I really like reading the stuff that Peter's putting together. And Craig, of course, for you, thank you very much for taking this time again. I know you're busy as hell, and so I appreciate that you took this time, and yeah, I'm looking forward, and Peter's also looking forward to touch base with David next week, and yeah, then good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Michael, and I do want to thank you very much again for allowing me this opportunity to talk about Naturally Splendid. Peter, thank you very much for your questions today, and if there's anything that we can do for you as far as provide information, please do not hesitate to ask. We are trading now on 3 exchanges, Frankfurt, the Toronto Venture, and OTCQB Marketplace, so we believe we have opened up the opportunity to a large selection of investors, and I just wanted to thank you both for this opportunity to speak today. And I look forward to providing David Race and his level of expertise for your next interview.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.